volume up.
There we go. Volume.
There we go. Oh, you feeling better this week?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, nice. I'll have to fix that on the others later. Okay. Anything we need to go over before we start, or shall I just hit the button and go?
Buttoning it.
Buttoning it. Here we go. Welcome to Curmudgeon's Corner for Saturday, September 14th, 2024. It is 17:33 UTC as we're starting to record. I'm Sam Minter. Yvonne Bow is here. Hello, Yvonne.
Hello.
So I think, as usual, we're going to do our But First, where we talk about non-newsy stuff for a little bit, and then two segments of newsy stuff. One picked by Yvonne, one picked by me. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
I was just telling Yvonne, he seems much more with it today than either of the last 2 weeks that we did this show. The first one, he was sick. The second one, he had just done a crazy night in Vegas and not slept. And so now you look refreshed.
I look refreshed. For those of you who are seeing this, not many, but yep. To Sam that's looking at me, I look refreshed. I did have a nice night of sleep. I also exercised this morning, and so this is pretty good.
Meanwhile, I'm kind of tired because last night, like I fell asleep on the couch. I was the first one in the family to fall asleep. I fell asleep on the couch.
How often do you fall asleep on the couch?
Maybe a third of the time.
Okay, so a lot. Okay, I never do. I always could. Yeah.
Maybe not quite, but
okay, it's a lot. It's definitely not an
it's not an
unusual occurrence. Okay,
yeah. But like one of the reasons why is like my son Alex, likes to stay downstairs late and doesn't like everybody else to leave. I mean, he'll if everyone else leaves, he will deal. But like he prefers if somebody stays downstairs with him while he is on his like all night bender of watching YouTube, whatever that he's doing, And so like more often than not, one or the other of us will give in and stay on the couch, and typically we will fall asleep first because we're old,
Yep, that's what happens.
And he is completely nocturnal right now. His sleep schedules are screwed up. So in any case, I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up again, middle of the night. Had to go to the bathroom. Blah blah blah. Again, old. But and he was gone. Like the TV was still on, but he was gone. No one was there. I remember like when I first fell asleep, like my wife was off. Actually, I think same thing you were, not the same one, but she was at a birthday party. And so like I had no idea. I was like, did she come back? What's going on? Blah blah blah. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna go up to bed. I get up to bed. My wife is in bed.
Okay.
My son is in bed at a right angle to my wife. So
crap.
not like,
So you can't get into bed.
Well, and then the dog is in the remaining space.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Okay. So and keep in mind the dog is a huge dog too, so it's
and you don't do what I do, because I
just shove him out of the way.
If Manu, listen, I before whatever, blah blah blah, let him be, la la, that I'll be nice to the little boy. Now I'm like, if he is in my side of the damn bed, get the fuck up, go to your bed, get out of here.
So anyway,
I don't care.
What I tried to do, I tried first to find a way to contort myself into the small amounts of empty space left on the bed. Okay? So
that doesn't work. I've already tried. This is, I tried that once or twice. I said, screw this.
I was like twisted around so that like I had my feet under the kid's back. I had my face up against the dog's face. In between, I was bent into a weird angle. And so I tried like for a while, I tried to sleep. And I did not get back to sleep that way. Like I kept trying slightly different positions. It just was not working. I probably like tossed and turned trying to do that. Well, I say tossed and turned, but I was very constrained in my tossing and turning based on where everyone else was. And so I eventually was like, okay, I give up. I'm going back downstairs. But like, I've mentioned before, I've mentioned before the dilapidated states of our couches that my intention is to replace them this year. I have not yet replaced them. They are not particularly comfortable for sleeping. Okay. And so like I tried again to sleep. I slept a little. I did fall asleep for a little while again, but not very much. I woke up. I tried to get back to sleep, and it was like, and then eventually I'm like, okay, I'll try sleeping on the floor. I put like a pillow down on the floor. I tried to sleep on the floor. I did not get back to sleep, and then it was time to do this. So I was like, so yeah.
So like, you're exhausted.
Not completely. Like I probably still.
But you're not rested. But you're not rested.
I'm not rested as much as I would like to be. Let's put it that way. And it's not like, because what sleep I did have was uncomfortable sleep, and I would have liked to get more sleep, but I tried multiple times to fall back asleep and I couldn't. And then boom, it was daytime. So. There.
No, I get that. But I listen. I have been. Look, I don't. I know you say, well, your son's gotten big, so shoving it out of wrist. My son's gotten a lot bigger. He's now weighing more than Juan. He's about weighing the same as Juan. He's 140 pounds right now, so he's not small. I don't give a fuck. Okay. I'm sorry. Get the fuck off my bed. Okay, go to your damn bed. Okay, I want my bed. I have to say that I have to get Manu a new mattress as well. That mattress is now like, I guess is getting like 8 years old, 9, whatever. It's not particularly comfortable right now, at least to me. My wife has said the same. Manu hasn't complained about it, but because I tried like once. Okay, he stayed in bed in my bed. I'll go sleep in his bed. And I was like, oh, fuck, this mattress is shit. I'm like, I can't sleep in this. Now, I will say that hasn't happened in a while because he kind of got the picture, so he doesn't do that anymore. Okay, he doesn't want me, basically just waking his ass up in the middle of the night to go to his bed. So he's not doing that. Because that happened a lot sometimes when I was recording the podcast. I was recording it late on Friday. Sometimes I'd get in there and I'm like, what the So, but I will say that, you mentioned about the couches, and, we replaced our like I mentioned, our couch this year. And that old couch that we had, same problem as with yours, it gotten uncomfortable. It had gotten to the point where it was just not comfortable to lie on, to go to bed. But the new couches that we have are, yes, extremely comfortable. Okay. So if it was that bad, and one of them, because we didn't have this before, does turn into a bed. Okay. Right. So if it was that bad, it does even turn into a bed, and it's a nice, comfortable bed. So now I have that option, but I haven't had to use it because you know what? I laid down the law on this and basically just said, "Get the fuck off my bed." And the thing is that in his bedroom, he does play in the living room. Got big TV, but the TV that I put in his bedroom is almost the same size as the one in the living room.
Yeah,
that further. So he will go do that in his bedroom. So we'll be in bed, and a whole bunch of times he'll fall asleep with a remote in his hand, completely just. He'll be watching shit on YouTube or whatever in movies until he falls asleep. I find him with a remote in hand, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Take the remote out of his hands, turn off the TV, let him go to sleep. Okay, got it. So we'll do that. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it fun stuff, and I have on occasion like pushed and made space. I didn't feel like it last night, but yeah, I again, like,
well, let me ask a question.
But the contorting doesn't
one
work.
Of these guys? Is he one of these people that like rotates, flips, and kicks at night? Or is he? If you move him, he'll stay still.
He'll move.
Okay, so I had this like where my sister many years ago.
Yeah.
I went on a trip to Orlando with my sister. And they had rented a house, and we were all sharing this house.
Okay, so when you were an adult, not when you were kids.
When I was an adult with my nephews, okay, that were younger, which my nephews are now adults, okay?
Okay.
And so I have to wind up sharing a bed with two of my nieces, okay? All right? Mm-hmm. It's a sofa bed. It's the only place to sleep. And I'm like, okay, listen, these two, there was no way to sleep with them in a bed. I would shove them all the way to the other side of the bed. In minutes, they would be perpendicular to me, kicking me, shoving me, pushing me off the bed, asleep, just completely asleep. They're doing all of this in their sleep. And it's like, I'm like, fuck me. I mean, I'm literally dragging them all the way to the other side of the damn bed. And then minutes later, they're just kicking my ass.
Oh, yeah.
While asleep. And they don't even notice it. We'll wake up in the morning. It's like, what happened? What do you mean, what happened? You didn't let me sleep.
Yes.
Fuck. Anyway.
The joy of having the young ones around.
Oh, I love it, but come on, it's a little bit. Listen, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't change it for a world, but it is not conducive to good sleep.
Yeah, no, and So anyway, I hijacked like that part of the butt first. Did you have another butt firsty thing that you wanted to talk about?
Firsty thing. Firsty thing. What was I doing this week? I don't know. I went to Vegas.
Yeah, we heard about that last week.
Yeah, and I got back. I the hell's been going on? I don't have much to talk about. It's like
it doesn't.
In Vegas.
It just has to be not newsy stuff. It doesn't even have to be like
a
personal story. You could be like, hey, there's this.
Well, here's something that happened yesterday.
We could put some of the tech news stuff in this segment.
No. Here's something that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I left for lunch. I had been, working from home a lot, and I'm like, look, let me go get. I got back the whole week, and I'm like, let me go grab some lunch. Okay. So I drove out to grab some lunch. When I came back, there's a few teenagers sitting with a Tesla near at the entrance of the condo. And I didn't think much of it because sometimes people, for whatever the hell reason, are waiting for somebody there. It's not common, and it's not really a proper place to do it, but whatever. Well, anyway, whatever. Then my wife says, hey, honey, have you noticed that car's been sitting there for hours? I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. Did you see the white Tesla at the entrance? And I'm like, well, I saw it, but I didn't think much of it. So I go and I look at the surveillance cameras and look at it. And I see that this is a used. Well, these people, there's no way they bought it new. There's like 3 teenagers driving around in a Model 3, which there's a lot of cheap Model 3s now to be had. Okay, this is a car now that there are a lot of used examples around. Okay, and that can be had for 10,000, 15,000. They're the price of a used car because Tesla dropped prices so much that there's a lot around. And I looked at it's got what looks like. It looked like 2 flat tires on the right side, but then I realized only one, and it's crashed on the front right. And I'm like, what the? And but wait, but even more, no, beyond the flat tire, no. When I was leaving, I know that I looked at when I first saw it, it had no right rear tire, and it was on the ground, not on a jack.
Okay.
And I'm like, wait, how the fuck is this car on the ground with no tire? How did it make it here? How the hell did it get here? Okay. So I went back, because I'm the president of the association. Let me pull the surveillance cameras. Let me see what the fuck happened. Well, look, apparently sometime like at noon, these guys are driving around for whatever the hell reason when they went and they realized that they had a flat tire. Okay. Apparently, I thought maybe the crash had something to do with a flat tire. No, the crash apparently they had crashed. They just noticed that they had a flat tire. They pulled in front. They looked at it. Oh, yeah, we got a flat tire. And then somehow they crawled to the entrance of the condo and they couldn't leave. And so instead of calling a tow truck, for whatever reason, these geniuses decided to call a friend, with another car. They decided to take the tire off, drop the car to the ground, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is a horrible idea because it will most likely damage your dumbass car, you idiots. Okay. Yep. All right. Because there's no graceful way to get it to fall on the ground. If you have it on the fucking jack,
you can let it down gently.
No, but you'll let it down to a level, but then you have to rip out the jack.
Right.
This thing will just drop on the fucking ground, because you don't have the tire. Because the tire usually holds it above the jack. At some point, when the tire is not there, it will slam to the ground.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Okay. And then they apparently decided, we won't call a tow truck. We will have somebody take the tire to a shop, put on a tire, bring it back, and then put it on the fucking car because the car obviously does not have a spare. And one of the fucking things that I've realized right now is that everybody ignores their goddamn TPMS warnings. Because all these cars have, modern cars, have tire pressure monitoring. And they will fucking put a light on your dashboard. Hey, your air pressure is low. Maybe you should check that out. And a large portion of the driving population ignores the fucking warning until they get a fucking flat and they're stranded for like 5 hours. And then I realized that this teenager generation has no idea. I've noticed it's not just the teenagers. I've noticed that nobody knows how to fucking change a flat anymore. They have no clue.
I wouldn't know how to do it right now. I think I did.
But you've done it.
I think I did it once, or at least was there when somebody else was doing it when I was a teenager. But I haven't had any need or experience since then. And if I had a flat tire,
do you have AAA?
Oh yeah, I would call it.
But I would call AAA. You would call AAA. But that's the thing. These morons.
I would not make any attempt to deal with it myself.
Exactly. But at least you would do the smart thing, which is, okay, great. Too complicated for me. Call fucking AAA. So, no, they don't have AAA. They don't have fucking anything. They get a fucking flat. They drop the car on the ground. They call some bozo to go pick up the tire, take it to a shop, bring it back, which, by the way, not for nothing. It's not like that's really that cheap either to do.
Right.
And I'm like looking at this and I'm like, people don't know how to do shit anymore. They don't know how to do anything, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows how to fucking do anything anymore. If they're under 40, they have no clue how to fucking do anything. They can't fix anything.
Well, like I said, I can't fix anything either. But so I
no, but you see, you know,
I know
to call something. Well,
yeah.
fuck, they don't even know that.
Well, there's also like you said, there's a money factor there too, right? Like
AAA is cheap. Who the fuck? Listen, if you know you're a clown with a car,
but I mean,
sign up for AAA. Hell, I think even Tesla has roadside anyway to come and help you with a fucking thing anyway.
Right. It's all, but always
my wife was like, well, they're young, don't be so harsh. I'm like,
yeah. Well, see, the thing is, like, with things like AAA, that it's essentially insurance, except you're not required to have it like regular, like car insurance. You're required by law to have. AAA, you are not required by law to have.
No.
So the normal thing, and this goes to the mindset we've talked about in terms of like, computer security stuff too at corporations and stuff. It's like, why spend money on prevention? You just deal with the problem once it happens.
Deal with, exactly. Right. I know.
So, and I'll fully admit to myself, like that there's some things that I like I have AAA, like we just talked about, but there are other things that I would have to be proactive about, like AAA. I have had
you put your credit card, it just bills you and you got it, period. That's it.
I don't have to do anything. I don't have to remember anything. But like if it's maintenance on crap that I have to like schedule like every once in a while to have somebody come in and do something, oh hell, that stuff's not going to get done till something breaks.
God. Oh man. Well, why can't people? One other problem is, and I've experienced this, is that auto manufacturers also are not putting spare tires in a lot of cars.
Yeah, you've complained about this before. They're an endangered species.
Yeah, which is a problem. Okay, and they send these fix-a-flat kits that, in my experience, when I tried them, they don't fucking work. Okay, so you're basically at the mercy of getting the car towed to a tire shop. Okay, and that's and that's an issue. I have to say that BMW for a while had been taking away spare tires, but for the most part, if they did that, they had put run flat tires on the cars. And I am, by the way, pro run flat tires. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I find it now really irritating that so many manufacturers have taken the route of getting rid of the spare tire, but not include run flat tires with the car as a fault, which is, I think that is ridiculous, because when I had run flat tires on the cars that I had with that, and there was an issue with the tire, all you saw, I got the warning. Oh, okay, I'll go to the repair shop and whatever. You can drive a good amount with the tire, flat without an issue. It's not, and so fuck, man, auto manufacturers just fucking go with a goddamn run flat tires. All the fucking tires should be run flat tires. Period. That's my conclusion from this. Because if we're creating a generation of morons that can't do anything mechanically, unfortunately, okay, for whatever reason, just because there aren't the number of mechanical things that people have to do have been reduced. So their mechanical skills are down to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you need to compensate. And it's not, having to call a tow truck to take the car to the damn dealer. That's really just preposterous. So anyway. All right, moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Should we just move on, or do you want a movie?
You're going to do a movie?
I don't know. I talked about sleeping and all that kind of stuff at the beginning, so that was kind of my thing. Like, we can save the movie for next time.
Let's save the movie for next time, so we don't make a 3-hour show.
Exactly.
A 3-hour tour.
The last couple shows, you not feeling great has contributed to them actually being a reasonable length.
Well, yeah, yes. As I am there, like just struggling to record a show. Yes, it definitely, has contributed to a shorter show time. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, we'll take a break and then we will do the first of our newsy segments where Yvonne will pick some exciting stuff to talk about.
Exiting.
Yeah. Here we go.
Do. This podcast is sponsored by AlexEmzilla.com. Alex Emzilla is great. It's on YouTube and it has lots of fun videos.
Alex Emzilla is awesome and great.
I love his videos, and they are obviously better than Curmudgeon's Corner.
Well, they're funnier. They're more interesting.
And frankly, he seems at least a little smarter than either of the hosts of Curmudgeon's Corner.
Honestly, it's ridiculous how endlessly talented and phenomenal Alex Emzilla is.
That's how great his YouTube channel is.
AlexEmzella.com.
Yes. Do.
Okay, here we go. So Yvonne, what do you want to talk about? Talk about.
You know what? I'm going to start because I know the big thing this week was the debate. Okay.
Yeah, and
but
everything that came out of it.
And everything came out of it, but that happened it seemed like already like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Okay, at this.
So I'll pick up that topic in the next segment if you go with
but
something.
What
else.
I'm going to talk about is something that happened with later in the week. Okay, related to DJT stock. Okay, all right. Okay. So the lockup period for Trump to sell his shares
ends
expired.
very soon.
No, it already expired. It expired this week.
I thought it was coming soon, but not yet.
I think okay, so I think it expired on Friday. I think it was something.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So let me double check. Okay.
Check that. Check that.
I'm on it. The stock is traded by buyer beware. Trump isn't alone and watch it. Oh God. But while I find this out, but the main thing is that the stock had been plummeting, okay, and falling. And obviously, Donald has the lockup, okay, which I can't find the exact date right now. I thought he said that it was expiring last week, but it could be early next week. It's really irrelevant when the lockup expires right now at this point for the purposes of what I'm trying to explain. But it's in the coming days. The problem is
next
week. Okay, so the problem is that the stock is very thinly traded. Okay. And so one of the things with thinly traded stock is that when it's thinly traded like that, it's very easy to manipulate the price of the stock. Okay.
Donald would never do that, Yvonne.
Maybe not.
Nobody would ever do that for the pure and pristine DJT stock.
So look, early in this, there was very clearly a big pump and dump of shares. Okay.
Right.
A lot of people talked it up. They convinced
just
a whole bunch of fools to buy.
Just fundamentally,
before
you go anywhere else, just fundamentally, the market cap of this thing is $6 billion or something, and it's losing money. It's down less than that. But my point is, whatever, it's billions.
Shed $6 billion in the last few months. Okay,
yes, but I thought it still was at $6 billion. It started at 12 or something.
Let's see.
But regardless,
no. It's worth, to be precise, $3 billion right now.
It's worth $3 billion right now.
His stake is worth $2.1 billion.
Okay, fine. The point is, it's got billions of dollars of market cap, but it is just continuously losing money, and its actual revenue is tiny. Tiny.
Nothing.
I've heard people multiple times make the comparison that says this entire company makes less money than one single McDonald's franchise.
Basically, yes. That's correct.
Not McDonald's the corporation, one single
store.
McDonald's.
One store.
Yes. And so like anything that has this thing being worth pretty much anything, certainly billions, but like a fair
50 million, 100 million.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
Right. So what would be a fair value for this thing, Yvonne? Like nothing? I mean, it's like losing money. It's like, is it
I don't even know what
anything?
the fucking business. I think it's worthless. I mean, I don't know what the hell there is no practical business plan.
So anyway,
to take this into profit making, but
yet it has a huge value, and the huge value is clearly just people doing manipulation, pumping dump.
A lot of people, and that's the thing. Initially, the reason why it went up is a lot of people talked it up. I will add one more thing. Wait, one more thing that's important that people have talked about. It also provides a vehicle to buying the stock and pumping it up. You are effectively giving money to Donald Trump. Correct. That's right. But in the short term, here's the problem. Here's the big problem that Donald's facing. This isn't liquid. Nobody's loaning him money against these shares. The shares are not marginable. And so that's why, for example, when he was trying to secure money for the bonds, okay, that he needed to post, okay, for the lawsuits, nobody would take these shares, okay? Because one of the problems with these shares is that because he owns 60% of the shares, if he were to sell a substantial number of the shares, the stock would just collapse. Okay.
Right.
I mean, it would collapse. And there is not enough demand on the other side to prop up that price.
And people have been speculating for a long time that basically as soon as he was able to, he would just completely rug pull and take out everything he could.
Right. And so one of the things, that happened is that, as the lockup approached, okay, he went publicly and made a fucking public statement
that he would not sell.
Okay, which is another way to try to pump up the fucking price of this shit box. Okay, and it did. Okay, it had an immediate effect of like pumping up the price like 20% on that one day. Okay,
but then it fell back down.
No. It stayed up somewhat, but
it stayed up a little bit. But there was a spike, and then it went down most of the spike, but it's still higher than it was.
It's still higher. Bottom line, it's still higher. So it got the effect. It got the effect of pushing the price up to a certain way. But again, I just feel this entire maneuver now.
Just to be clear on higher than it started, but it was back to where it was 3 days earlier. As you said, it had been falling. So.
Well, yeah. So, but it had the effect of pumping it from the low because it reached like an all-time low. Okay, at that moment. But here's the interesting thing that Trump went and sent out a message. Okay, he sent out some message saying that the stock was under investigation for manipulation.
Right.
Okay, and here is the thing. This was September 13th, so this was yesterday at 6, okay? Why is NASDAQ halting the sale of DJT? What right do they have to do this? They have done it twice today. What's going on? Are they taking orders from the SEC, which for political reasons delayed us for an inordinate amount of time, therefore hurting the stock very badly? I'm going to hold NASDAQ and maybe the SEC liable for what they are doing. They do it again, we will move the stock to the New York Stock Exchange. They won't touch the fucking stock. It is my intention to own the stock for a long period of time. In my opinion, it is the real voice of America, but it's definitely my voice. And it will be for a long time to come. As with every statement that, Donald Trump says, I'm sure that everything that he just said in there is a complete lie. He probably intends to cash this thing out as quickly as he is able to, as he has done with everything else for that matter. I think about what happened. Like, why the hell isn't he really a really solid billionaire? It's because he He liquidated all his dad's real estate properties that actually had the cash flow because he needed the fucking money. So, now the interesting thing is that the SEC is investigating this because, as I've mentioned before, this fucking stock, there's been,
I mean, way from the very beginning,
way too many
outside
trades,
just
statements, pumps, and
and even from the beginning, like supposedly, like if I understand correctly, these SPACs aren't supposed to approach whoever they're intended to buy until they have the funds and blah blah blah. And there's evidence that there was back and forth with this company before they even did the acquisition, and improper contacts. And so from the very beginning, I mean, haven't some people already been charged based on?
There have been charges. Some settled. Digital World Acquisition, the SPAC that was founded and backed by Orlando, this guy, one of the guys involved, settled fraud charges with the SEC last year. Then the regulator sued Orlando this summer, accusing him of misleading investors. Gee, what a shocker. So those cases are separate from a series of lawsuits related to Trump, the stakes of Orlando's ARC, his partners, and rules surrounding restrictions of sales. There's just this thing is just. It's not just that it's a hyper-valued thing of something that makes no money, okay? It's also an entire cesspool of investigations, fraudsters, hucksters, lawsuits. I mean, even the people themselves. I mean, Donald tried to pull the rug out from his partners and take away their shares. I mean, it's just, it's the ultimate shit show. It really is. And he is screaming.
Yvonne, if you're casting doubt on this one, at least you can have confidence in the Donald Trump NFTs.
All the NFTs. Yes, of course. Yeah, those are, and the thing is that as I saw on the cover of Bloomberg today, the first thing is, first story, Trump can only watch as his media stake takes a $4 billion dive. Buyer beware, said Paul Krager, co-founder. And then right under that, talking about the NFTs, beyond the Trump crypto project is a self-described dirtbag of the internet.
Oh yeah, the new Trump crypto project that's about to launch, by the way.
That's right.
Not the NFTs from before.
Yes. I mean, it's amazing. It's like, I mean, the guy, I always love that to make sure that my investments are directly tied to somebody that is called the dirtbag of the internet. I know that gives me, that totally gives me the warm and fuzzies about where my money is. I don't know about you, but that's just the way I like that's where I like to park my money for sure.
So really, if you look at all the stuff surrounding this company, the DJT company,
listen, only a whole bunch of morons, fraudsters, and hucksters are in this damn thing. Nobody else can.
Well, right, yeah, but and true believers who believe it's the way to support Donald.
Oh, those are the morons.
Okay, and also people who are using it as a mechanism for bribery as well.
Oh, and yes, absolutely, yes. Indeed.
Someone pointed out that if Donald Trump wins, like if you thought you had emoluments issues before, having a publicly traded company where he has majority ownership is just an open door to.
It's just inflate the stock to the moon. Hey, Donald, we're buying. We're gonna make a huge buy. A huge buy. We're gonna buy. Whatever. We're gonna pump that price to the moon.
And as far as I can tell, SCOTUS would be fine with it too. Their only problem is they weren't in on it.
Basically, only some of them.
No, but my question to you was: is there enough here that we're talking a serious chance of more criminal charges against either Trump or the people around him?
For sure.
Do you think is Trump himself exposed?
I'm sure he is, because he's made making all these public statements about a stock that are fraudulent is a crime.
let's keep in mind, like, didn't Elon get in trouble for this over and over and over again, but never
and he got
really
fined No, he got fined a lot of money. Okay, now he's
money he could afford.
By the way, but here's the one thing I don't know.
Like,
if
he didn't
noticed,
give a shit.
You know what? I don't know if you've noticed that he's actually cut back on the stupid bullshit he says about his about the stock.
Yeah.
Because it did get him into a whole bunch of trouble. It did enforce a monitor to people. They did force him to do a whole bunch of things. So even if you haven't noticed, when it comes to like saying stuff that like you said before, like funding secured or that kind of crap or whatever, he hasn't been doing that. And it's because I know his board basically said, stop fucking with the goddamn stock. Okay.
Right.
And so he has been avoiding that. Okay. Of the few things that he's avoiding getting into trouble about, which apparently he's just, I will tell you that Elon, so he's been banned in Brazil. X has been banned in Brazil.
Yep.
Man, I'm looking at that's going to embolden other countries to say, "Fuck you, you're banned, you're done." I think that the rate is going. I saw that he's getting into trouble with Australia, where he also called them fascists. I'm sure the regulators really love that. Have him saying that. So
okay, you got more on this?
No.
Shall we take a break and then do politics?
It was only one subject. We can jump straight into politics, and then we take a break. 1 and 1. I picked one. You picked one. You want to take a break? Okay, take a break.
Well, what we've been doing lately, we could alternate like that. What we've been doing is the whole first segment is stuff you pick, and then the whole second segment is stuff I pick. So, do you have more to pick in your segment since it isn't that long?
Oh, you want me to pick something else? Well,
sure, pick something else.
All right, let's pick something else. What's going on? Okay, hold on.
And I mean, if you want to jump right into the politics, we can. It's your choice, and then I'll pick something else later, which might be more politics depending on what we do.
Well, okay, I'm going to talk about. Okay, there's a second thing I posted in here before we're talking about politics. It's politics adjacent, but it really isn't. And so I posted this thing about flood the zone with shit, which is Steve Bannon's thing.
This will relate to lots of the other stuff, but yes, go ahead.
It relates to it, but I'm talking more a little bit of. I had an interaction this week with a 25-year-old.
Okay.
Who college educated and whatnot, and she seriously asked me, "Is Michael Jackson really dead?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, that Michael Jackson's really dead." Yeah. And I can't remember something else that she asked about.
Earth is flat. Have we landed on the moon?
Not that bad. Not that bad. But it was stuff like a little bit more. And I will say that what I did tell her, and when I told her, it did turn a light bulb in her head, and she realized, oh shit, you're right. Is I said, look, let me tell you something. I've been around for a while and worked at executive positions in a number of companies, worked with executives and all this stuff, and also with, we're talking with political figures, and stuff and other things that I've had direct relationships with, and I what I said is that, look, let me tell you something. Everybody says like all these companies and whatever, we're having all these conspiracies, we're hiding the murders and things and stuff and whatever. Let me tell you something. Most of these big organizations are so fucking disorganized. It's amazing that we even do what the fuck we're supposed to be doing. Let alone hide such a fucking conspiracy. And also, she thought where she's working at, she said, holy shit, you're right. Yeah. So you know what? Don't listen to that shit, because it's just people like just trying to manipulate and confuse you. So at least I did my good deed and tried to finally put in her head, oh yeah, the fuck am I talking about? These people can't organize a trip to the bathroom. How the fuck are they going to hide, this shit? I mean, come on, people. I mean, but what it does.
And by the way,
I realize
I don't think this is specific to the places you've worked. I mean, it applies to
everywhere.
Every place I've ever worked. I mean, it's just
everywhere.
I mean, you put it well. It's a miracle anything ever happens if you look at the minutia of what's going on day to day.
Yeah.
It's just like people are disorganized. There's people like working at odds with each other. There's miscommunication all over the place all the time.
The time.
And I mean, people are trying not to. I mean, it's not intentional usually, but like it's just the nature of large organizations.
Yeah.
Hell, even of small organizations that, it's human nature. It's like part and like all of these conspiracy things, the people that point out, like all the people who are like,
they're so organized that hermetically they were able to create the synthetic being that made us believe that, and then every single person organized did it so perfectly and maintained it a perfect secret. I'm like, are you insane?
I mean, people
what are you talking about? We can't even get two damn astronauts back down from the fucking space station right now, for God's sakes. And they've been trying to organize that for 5 years. How the fuck you think we would fake a moon mission when for real we can't? We got these two assholes stuck in there until next year.
Right. Well, and look, people say this about all these old conspiracy theories as well. I mean, I mentioned the moon landing. There's the JFK assassination. There's this, there's that, there's this. And it's like, do you realize how many people who would have to have kept their mouths shut for decades in order to like keep the truth from coming out? It's like, sorry, like there's, okay, there. I fully admit there are some secrets that end up never being exposed because only a very small number of people knew them and they all die taking it to their grave. But like for something big where you have like, you had to organize a conspiracy and lots of people working together and blah, blah, blah.
Of thousands of people.
I mean, like, oh, they faked the moon landing. Do you know how many people worked on that shit over the course of like decades?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was all fake.
Nobody noticed. None of those people noticed.
Good
God Almighty. So, but what it highlights to me is in this day and age, still how the Bannon strategy, and how it's really undermined art discourse,
everything
in general. Everything.
I mean, the fundamental issue is forget about the massive conspiracies. The fundamental problem is that for the normal person, well, hell, even for people with lots of time, how do you know who to trust when the zone is being flooded with shit?
Well, the one thing is that they've also misplayed, and I blame also. I blame Democrats and some other people for some of this in terms of all the people that like. I hate the New York Times. I'm gonna cancel a subscription, and the reason why they're pissed off is because they hate what's being published for the most part in the opinion page, and sometimes for being selective in what stories
headlines
they covered, and for headlines, right? Because the reality is that most of the facts that they are mostly that they're presenting are as accurate as they have been able to gather them. There may be, you can nitpick the headlines, you can nitpick the story selection, but they are not creating fake stories. And to nitpick also the opinion page is ridiculous because it's a fucking opinion page. Unfortunately, I don't want to hear those opinions. Well, fuck. Look. Those opinions are the reality that we live in right now. Okay? And yes, I disagree with them, but that's the fucking reality of it right now. Even on the opposite side, the Wall Street Journal, as much as, the Wall Street Journal opinion page is a bunch of psychopaths, okay, in many cases. The reality is that the newsroom is completely separate from that, and they try to cover news as they cover news, with facts, with figures and things and checking and whatever the fuck and whatnot. But the reality is that they've made everybody question everything. And when people don't understand the difference between, say some fucking shitty website, whatever, that does no fact checking, that just like right now, because what happens is you post whatever the fuck it is, versus a news organization that, for all its foibles, is actually, when they are posting a fact, they're trying to check if it is a fact.
But part of the misinformation techniques that have been going on lately, and even the Russian influence thing, indictments that we talked briefly about last week,
they create places that look like real or news.
Yeah, they create fake websites that are like, instead of the New York Times, it's the New York News or something, and it looks legit, because at this point, like, to spin up a website that looks fairly,
it's the thing.
It's trivial. It's trivial. Like, anybody can do it. Anybody, and then you start pushing social media stories at it, and the first person who, if you just casually look at it and you're like, oh, the San Diego Herald. Okay, I don't know if the San Diego Herald is a real thing or not. Right. I see the story, I read it, it looks legit. And what am I, and so, like, and I see this all the time now. And I've admitted before, I've occasionally fallen for them. Right. But like, when you see a link to like a story or a quote or a whatever, and you do not immediately recognize the source, and
but here's the thing, it's also
you have to start doubting it. But here's the thing, like, you and I are news junkies. We pay attention to all this all the time. If we see a link and it's like, wait a second, like, that's not the paper in San Diego. Like, San Diego, I don't even know.
You remember
right?
that I shared that we shared that somebody had like edited that Fox News page where they showed like Donald Trump with no military support, and
yes,
and I think that so many people would fall for it. And it was like reality. And I shared it. I'm like, this has to be fake. But actually, I shared it by saying this has to be fake, right? Okay.
Right. Well, and I'll give,
and I was like, and then we looked and we said, yep, there's no such poll.
Yeah. I'll give you another example just from earlier today on the Curmudgeon's Corner Slack. One of the people on our Slack, it was Pete, posted a screenshot of what I believe is a Twitter post. Confirmed. Laura Loomer banned from the president's plane, won't be allowed physical access to him again. Physical access is being stressed, perhaps related to Laura's repeated reference to her intimate relationship with DJT. Laura's demented lies may cost Trump his election. Now, we're probably going to talk about Loomer in the next segment, but the point related to you is this is from some guy named Nero.
It's Milo. Well,
I know.
It's like that. Well, of course, who knows if it's really Milo or not? Milo.
Who knows if it's got a little check mark, but who knows what those mean on Twitter these days?
Nothing.
And even if it was from that guy, Milo Yanan, whatever his name was, that's not exactly a trustworthy source.
No.
But
I think. Well, I don't know if I
like. But here's the thing.
To be fair, wait.
Yeah,
I don't think that Pete was posting this as some kind of authoritative thing. I think it was posting it about the shit that.
No, I know, but
crazy discussion that they're having inside
here's the point, though.
Circles. Yeah.
This thing says confirmed : I guarantee you that all sorts of people seeing this are like, oh, it was confirmed.
No. Yes, correct. That's exactly right. Yes.
Confirmed by fucking who?
Who?
How was it confirmed? No, it was confirmed. It's true.
Confirmed.
It's definitely, this is the thing. And this is the kind of stuff you see all the time, and certainly social media is a big conduit for this kind of stuff, but elsewhere as well. And the thing is, like, if you are a casual consumer who only hears things every once in a while, then you don't, like, somebody says confirmed, like, how the fuck do I know? And if you see a link to an article and it looks like a legitimate site, how do you know that this is actually a bogus site, or this is a site with a clear agenda or whatever? And also, by the way, you've been trained not to trust the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, And you know, you don't trust any of those things because you know those are liberal liars.
Right.
You know,
and that's been the thing that's been going on, where it's the flood the shit thing, and it's like, man, you know, especially for people who are not diving into the woods around a lot of this, right? Like you said, it's very difficult for them to ascertain what the
it's
fuck
hard
is
even
true
for those of
or
us
not.
who pay attention a lot.
It's hard for us. It takes effort.
It takes
a lot of
effort, and we screw up sometimes.
And we screw up sometimes. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of it is, well, who can you trust? Who can you not trust? And like, if you, and at this point, like, it is so easy to create large volumes of content, and the AI stuff is not helping this.
No,
at all. You can create large volumes of content that looks legitimate, and then at a certain point, the amount of work it takes to figure out, okay, I can trust this one, I can't trust this one, and blah blah blah. And then every once in a while, the big guys do something that makes you not want to trust them anymore because they screw something up. And of course, like the one of the big tells of like sort of the legitimate places versus the non-legitimate places is the legitimate ones typically admit it when they fuck up. Like if they get a story wrong and then that is proven to them,
a retraction,
they will do a retraction. They will post something that has the real story afterwards and say, we're sorry about that one, we got it wrong. Whereas like the places that are just trying to manipulate, they're never.
Hell, they'll post contradicting stories one day to the next.
Yeah,
just like Donald Trump. That's because I mean, you will one
and they'll double and triple down on it.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so
I just you know.
But and this
I
is,
realized,
you know,
like I got, by the way, another youngster.
Another
youngster this week asked me. And I realized because unions have been demonized so much, and especially by Republicans, and you know, you join a union, you're going to get fired or whatever. And I had somebody ask me, hey, because they saw this thing about the Boeing strike,
right? So
if you go on strike, so does that mean you get fired? And I'm like, no. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, because there is a process to get to a strike, and I realized that. There's
a variety of legal protections, blah blah blah. It is possible to eventually fire those people, depending.
It is, but if you follow the legal process of negotiations, you know, getting through the bargaining process and doing all those things, you don't get fired. But I realized that was another thing of misinformation that I'm sure that is out there, which is like this thing about scaring young people into like, oh, you join a union, you're gonna get fired, and I'm like, no. No. There is a right to strike. There is, you know, you can, if you negotiated and done these things, you can just, you know, you can, you know, strike, and you know, and if you follow the process, it doesn't mean you get fired. But I realize it's another thing that, man, you know, this generation is getting hit by so much shit.
Well, and this is exactly
information.
The point. You know, you mentioned Steve Bannon's quote of "flood the zone with shit," but it's part of a much older tradition. It's part of an authoritarian / fascist tradition.
Well, it goes back. It goes back. I mean, this goes back to the era of like complete, you know, gaslighting people,
Goebbels,
but that was like Goebbels and all those but they controlled all the mediums of communication. And one thing that's happened, of course,
the key is that I wanted to say though is the whole point is make it so people don't trust anything.
Exactly. You make it exactly.
Then if they don't trust anything, it's very easy to come in and manipulate. Like if there's no sense of, okay, we know this set of things is true. If that is undermined, and so lots and lots of people just have no idea what's true, then they're wide open blank slates for you to manipulate and you to push your vision of things. And that's when somebody that's charismatic and sounds good and sounds trustworthy can come in and do whatever they want. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that it does create is just a situation where, you posted this poll question that they did about the cats and dogs, like
Yeah,
in the
and
migrant
we'll
thing.
undoubtedly be talking about
We'll
cats
talk
and dogs
about how
shortly.
that, and how
This was a YouGov poll. Yep.
54% said it was false, 26% it was true. Now, I will admit that I feel good about the fact that it was only 26% that it was true. But it definitely did make like that. You've got a big percentage of people that were, again, flood the shit, flood the zone with shit. They were like, oh, I don't know. And so, and that's what they love to manipulate. I'm sure that, but I'm also sure that a lot of people in that, outside the 54% that know definitively, that answer definitively, I keep saying there's so many of these fucking people that just whatever Trump says, they just want to say yes because to own the libs. That it's the fact it doesn't matter because they will just say it just to go and say, yeah, I'm going to say yes to my guy.
Right, because it's not a do you really believe this?
Right.
It's a indicator of your tribe. It's
exactly.
It's like, and they know the right answer if they're a Trumpy.
Right.
And yeah, that's absolutely part of it too. Like, it's not, do they really literally believe this is happening? It's, do they believe this is the right thing to say right now?
Because we have to own the libs.
We have to own the libs. We have to support Donald Trump. We have to do this. We have to do that. And so, yeah. But still, it's an indication. That like 26% of the population is ready to say yes. They believe that Haitian immigrants are abducting and eating cats and dogs.
All right, and in conclusion, before we take a break, I want to just say one thing.
Yes.
Fuck you, Pope Francis. Okay, that didn't work out very well. Fuck you, Pope Francis. Okay.
Explain this. Unless you're just randomly saying you want to fuck the Pope.
Oh, I don't want to fuck the Pope. Okay. He pronounced himself that the choice between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is between two evils. Fuck you, Pope. Fuck you, Pope Harris. I mean, that's just preposterous, you asshole. I had some modicum of respect for him when we said that. I'm like, it made it completely evaporate.
So, and just to be clear, his logic is that Trump is evil because he's mean to immigrants, and Harris is evil because she supports abortion.
She doesn't support abortion. Okay, she supports a woman's right to decide what the fuck to do with their damn body because they're not a damn vessel to bring in babies. And, and he says, oh, they support abortion. No, a fucking woman isn't a goddamn vessel. And nobody else gets to decide what the fuck they do with their damn body.
So, yes.
Fucking assholes. I'm so sick and tired of them. They want to tell everybody else what the fuck to do. Fuck them all.
Well, there we go. And with that, let's take a break, and then we will come back with debate and politics and all of that stuff. Stuff. Lots of stuff. Stuff. Oh. There's a noise. Yvonne's got such a face on him right now. He's mad. Okay, let's do the break. Okay, before we start, you gotta go. You got something going on?
No. It's just I want to make sure the recording doesn't get interrupted again.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
But I don't think it did this time. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's I think that was like it was doing it on the phone. I don't think it happens on the computer, so I think we're good because it still says 1 hour, 4 minutes, 59 seconds. So
Okay, good. Okay.
All right.
We are back. So I promised politics and I promised debate and all this kind of stuff. And we sort of previewed, we got dogs and cats, we got Laura Loomer, we got all kinds of fun stuff going on. Let's just start with the high level of the
Can I start
debate.
with, like,
Yes.
you just mentioned
Yes.
Laura Loomer. I think I saw today. I can't believe she's 31.
Okay.
I mean, it's just.
I had no
I feel like
opinion about her age previously.
No.
So.
It's just no. The reason I say it is because I feel like she's been around being an asshole for a long time. It feels longer than 10 years. I don't think she was doing it since she was 11.
Right.
So it must be like only in the last decade, I assume.
Right.
And so I'm just a little bit shocked that she's only 31 because I mean listen, this fucking asshole actually ran for Congress for my fucking district.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I knew she ran in Florida. I'd forgotten that.
It's in my fucking district. Well, she got crushed. This is
I presume you voted for her.
Yes, of course. She got crushed. Okay. You know, because the one thing about it is, forget about whether she's a Republican. She's unlikable anyway. It's like, you know, she's a jerk off. So nobody likes her anyway. It's like Ted Cruz. Well, no, she's better than Ted Cruz. Here's the one thing. I think more people like Ted Cruz than they like her, as far as I can tell. So,
okay.
But yeah, I'm just surprised that she's only 31. Okay. I didn't realize. Let me confirm. Now I said that.
I believe I've seen that as well. You can feel free to confirm.
Her age. Yeah, 31. Yeah. Yeah, she was a Republican nominee to represent Florida's 21st congressional district in the 2020 House elections, losing to Democrat Louis Frankel. Thank God. Who is a lovely lady, by the way. I've met her in person. Louis is like, it's like literally couldn't be more diametrically opposed difference between Louis Frankel and
tangent here for just 1 second, but you mentioned you met them. One of the weird things at this point for me, with my wife being in politics, is like when I voted in the primaries.
You knew who you were voting for.
I had personally met almost everybody I voted for.
I will say I'm not at that extreme, but I've met a number of the ones that have been on my ballot. But no, not everybody. By the way, the reason I met her was because I was on a flight to DC and she wound up sitting right beside me in coach one time, and that's how I met her. She just sat right beside me. By the way, she was sitting in coach, which I've realized. Okay, I love my congresswoman. She's sitting right here beside me in coach. She's not fucking whatever. She's this is cool.
It's like from local all the way up. I know a bunch of the local people. I've met and talked to the Democratic candidate for governor. Just 2 weekends ago, I accompanied my wife to some sort of event for Labor Day, and our congresswoman was there, Del Bene, and she comes up to me, shakes my hand, recognizes me from having talked to her before, from being Brandy's husband. And it's like, this is weird. I did not have an in-depth I have not had in-depth conversations on politics with any of these people, but I've met them. I've said hi. I've been introduced and blah, blah, blah. And it's just weird. Cause I don't know. It's these are people that you're supposed to know about on the news, not people that you actually would recognize you if they saw you. That's just weird.
Anyway. Well, there you go. So that's her. So anyway, all right. So what are we going to start?
Okay,
with?
So
I got us on the polls.
I wasn't going to. You want me to?
I think it merits an update on the polls.
Okay, so here
going in the home stretch.
Okay, so first of all, I posted right after our last show. I posted, well, actually a couple days after our last show, right before the debate. I posted a poll update to electiongraphs.com. If you go to electiongraphs.com and then click on the blog tab, you can read it. There have been quite a few polls just in the last few days. Things are getting hot and heavy. There are new polls every day. Since we have been recording, there have been new polls. Since we've been recording this show, there's been a new poll in Wisconsin, a new poll in North Carolina, and 4 new national results since we've been recording. Okay. So I have not put those in. I'm looking at the North Carolina one. The North Carolina one will probably flip North Carolina from Harris back to Trump once I put it in later. But the bottom line remains, oh my God, this is close as fuck. You know, that's the bottom line. It's like, at the moment, my tipping point as of this very second is Harris up by 0.1% in Nevada. I bet you when I put this new North Carolina poll in, it will probably flip to the Trump side, because right now, Pennsylvania is like a dead tie right now in my average. Like literally it says 0.0, which like I actually have logic to try to prevent an actual tie. It's actually slightly on the Trump side, but so small it still rounds to 0.0. Anyway, like it is close. Every like there are tons. Let me finish since you asked for this. You know, I've said before, like, it's just amazing how many states are super close. So let me give you like all of the states right now where the margin in the poll average is under 2%. Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, and also I have Iowa in that category, but that's because there's been no polls in Iowa whatsoever. Polls, yeah. I don't think Iowa's really that close. And then Maine's second congressional district as well. All of those have averages under 2% right now, which if you like, and maybe you trust the polls, maybe you don't, but assume for the moment you trust the polls. Those are all fucking toss-ups. That is a huge number. Any one of those, like I count anything under 5% as toss-ups, but these are all under 2%. These are really all states where to put your money on either candidate winning would be foolish. They could really easily go either way. And that takes you like, if you do my 5% level, you know, it's all the way. Look, it's basically from a Harris landslide to a very solid Trump win right now. Like all of those are reasonable possibilities given where polling is right now. And that's where we are. I mean, now there in the last 2 presidential elections, polls have underestimated the Republican. If that's true again, then Harris is behind. If on the other hand, we have all the indications that we've had in the last 2 to 3 years that Democrats have been overperforming polls in like midterms and special elections and all that kind of stuff, then maybe Harris is in really awesome shape. But we really don't know.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
Now, there is one thing that I know, because you usually focus very
on states,
on states. But the latest national polls that have come out,
she has pulled up a couple percent since
the
debate.
She has gotten a bump from that debate. Definitely gotten a bump. So we'll see how that translates into state polling and other things, and how lasting it is, in part because because Donald basically made. Look, I will say this. Well, because the reason I said I'm not going to talk in general, but what my opinion is why, she's gotten that much from the debate. Look, that was the worst debate performance by a president since like fucking Nixon against Kennedy. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he really.
So let's.
I don't think people like trying to compare it to Biden's. Look, Biden just sounded old. if you read the transcript, he didn't give you any memes. This fucking debate, he said so much stupid shit that your choice of which one of the preposterous, idiotic statements that he did do you want to make the most fun of?
Well, okay. Like, we'll get into all the debate stuff first, but since you mentioned that, I think there is a winner for that question. Which one you want to make the most fun of? So here we go.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. 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 They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
And ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
People on television.
Let me just say here, this is
The people on television said my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the
said
city
the
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
Talk about extreme.
Okay. Well, yes.
I look, no one in the history of a televised debate has ever said something so fucking idiotic ever. It made Dan Quayle look presidential in a fucking debate. Okay? I mean, it's just, I mean, the fact that this guy is still in a close race to the presidency after saying something like that on national television, okay, is bonkers.
So let's, yes, Donald Trump completely like did badly, but let's not sleep on the fact that Kamala Harris also did incredibly well.
Oh yeah. It was both. It was both.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like because
'cause-
the thing is that she really manipulated him
Yes.
into a lot of these stupid statements.
And look,
she really she let him just. Oh, people are saying, "Oh, he's talking too much." No, she's like, "Hey, I baited him into it. I'm giving him the rope to just fucking like hang himself."
And here's the thing. They telegraphed this strategy for like a week or two before the debate as well. It's not like they were shy about it. Walz has spoken about it. I mean, since the debate, Walz has specifically said, look how easy this guy is to manipulate.
Imagine fucking Putin or anybody else how they fucking like play him like a fucking violin.
But this,
come on.
But this is the whole thing. And it was clearly a design strategy in every answer that Harris did. She did it sort of like as a sandwich. She would talk about her policy stuff. Then she would throw in something to bait Donald Trump. And then she would talk about more policy. And then Donald Trump
resist.
He couldn't resist. He could not let go a single one of those things. She brings up crowd sizes. She brings up his conviction. She brings up this. She brings up that. And the guy, he could not respond. He could not. He couldn't respond.
No. He couldn't not respond.
Yeah, there you go. Could not respond. There
Right.
you go.
Yeah, he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. It was like, I mean, it was just like, I mean, it's like fucking trigger words. I mean, just whatever. Here you go.
And that's the thing too. It's not just that he couldn't respond. It's that he couldn't respond rationally.
Right. He couldn't respond rationally. What he would do is just get emotional and just, start spewing horse shit.
Right. And like apparently even this cats and dogs thing, which probably is worth more time, but this was a prepared thing that they spent from one report I read. He was going to use this to pivot onto other immigration problems. And he was actually not going to claim that this was true. He was going to use the conversation about it as something to blame the Democrats for, and then pivot to something else immigration related. And they had prepped him on a whole bunch of immigration related stuff. But once he got onto this, he could not let go. And he of course did jump to, it's true, it's happening. I heard it on TV. It must be true. You know, and in all of these places where he went off, the problem is he just comes off completely unhinged. And also it's several of these instances, including the immigrants eating pets things, were related to deeply online conservative rat hole memes. Like, you would know what they're talking about if you spend a lot of time on 4chan and Gab and these other places. But like the normies are just like, what the fuck? What is he talking about? Like, I've seen a number of...
Listen, my wife was watching the debate. Okay. Yep. I did not, because and she was like, I don't know if there's a shot of a crowd that heard this, that they were watching it, that exploded in laughter. She was the same. She was like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like anybody who just was a normal person heard this and just was like, what in the hell is he going on about?
Oh,
it's just so bizarre.
And I've seen a number of those sort of reaction shots of like crowds in various places that were having watch parties or whatever. Laughter all over the place. Now, to be fair, I don't know what the inclination of people at those watch parties was to start with. I have not seen one that specifically said, here's a crowd of MAGAs breaking out into laughter.
Let me tell you something. I guarantee you that from what I saw from a whole bunch of the Republicans, the moment that they saw that, it was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Well, and that goes to the immediate reaction. That goes to the immediate Fox News reaction, which was if you see clips of the various people on Fox News reacting within the first hour after the debate, because they got their act together after that. But within the first hour, there's quote after quote of people just going like, well, he clearly screwed up. This was not a good night for Donald Trump. This was a train wreck, blah, blah, blah. Very sad looking people on Fox. They did seemingly get their act together in later days. And so they sort of got their stories straight where, this was rigged. This was a 3-against-1 thing. They fed Kamala the questions, this was a biased moderator, blah, blah, blah. Kamala, and given all that, Trump did great.
Listen, there is something to be said for somebody like Kamala.
Oh, and they only fact-checked Donald Trump. They did not fact-check.
Kamala,
because only one of them was lying.
Yeah. Well, it was a prosecutor.
Yes.
And, when you are in that line of work, this kind of stuff comes off naturally to do. When you do the same when you're doing a cross-examination, when you're preparing for a trial. And I've done it more from the perspective of being the person that's going to be in the witness stand, but not from the attorney doing it themselves, because I'm not an attorney. But I know the kind of preparation and how they go and how they practice and how they, what the questions are not, and how to. I mean, you've been training this your whole life as to how to do this discussion. And it's like a little bit like, we make fun of our little like podcast over here, but I remember like a couple of years ago that I got interviewed by some TV stations in Mexico and radio for some stuff related to our company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that were doing the radio broadcast, they were like, shit, you're like a fucking natural on the radio. What the hell? I'm like, well, doing this, believe it or not, helps you prepare for that kind of like a scenario where you get the questions, respond properly, know when you need to break, that kind of stuff, even though we ramble on for hours in here, but it does give you that prep. And so look, she's a natural at this. Trump, she is great at it. We've seen it before in other debate performances by her. Okay.
Oh,
Even
and
like
by the way,
Biden.
this is important. This is an area where he actually prides himself on his skills. This
Right.
is his ability to be a television entertainer. This is, and she smoked him.
Smoked them. Just smoked them.
So this is another one of these narcissistic injuries, which, by the way, just to back up a little bit, she took control from the very first seconds when she went over and shook his hand. She went over to, and by the way, when he debated Biden, they never shook hands.
That is such a power move. Let me tell you something. I've done that move to some people, okay, where I know that we're adversarial, like in a litigation or something like that, where I've gone to shake their hands, and it throws them off completely. Yeah. They're like, "What the fuck? You just came over and shook my hand?"
And he was clearly thrown off. Like,
oh yeah, he was thrown off.
First of all, she said her name aloud to sort of emphasize, this is how you pronounce it, dumbass. Because he gets it wrong all the time and gets it wrong on purpose, by the way. Like, we screw it up, but we want to get it right.
Well, we're not very good.
But he gets it wrong on purpose, like as a way to try to needle her. And she says her name, shakes his hand. He tries to do the move where he grabs the other hand, and she does not allow that.
No, don't do that.
So she took control of the scenario from that instant and never let go. I will say the first couple questions, she was a little unsteady. There are a couple places where I was like, she had a missed opportunity. Like there was an obvious rebuttal that he was going to say, and she should have anticipated it. But like, that was the first couple questions.
Just a little bit. And
then she hit her stride and like never looked back. Yeah, like, yeah. You know, and like completely owned him. Like, was Michael Steele on MSNBC. Have you heard what he said?
No. What did he say?
His comment, like he was asked for his opinion of the debate on air, like a little bit after the debate ended.
And by the way, for those of you, he was the head of the RNC for a while, Michael Steele,
yeah, he was the head of the RNC for a while, and now he's a commentator on MSNBC. He's one of their token Republicans. He is one that says he, like some of them, like Nicole Wallace and folks like that, say they are ex-Republicans. They are no longer Republicans. They have quit. Michael Steele actually says he's still a Republican, and he still holds out hope to someday reforming the party and bringing it back from where it was, but he's very anti-Trump. Anyway, his commentary was, she spanked that ass. That was it. That was, you know, obviously he said more after that, but that was his initial comment. And because it really was, you could tell just looking at his face during the thing, he knew it too. He knew he was getting crushed in this thing, you know,
but he tried as usual, which is the double and triple down. And it was like, I mean, all he did was just bury himself deeper.
Right. Now he did have one thing I've seen people point out that are defending him is like, well, he won because he had the best closing statement ever because he brought up something that she can't like deny, which was like, well, if you have all these good ideas, why haven't you done them in the last 3 years? Now,
she's not the president of the United States.
Well, but also this is like this whole thing, that whole response, which I've heard a lot of people on the right harping on and saying how killer a move that is. One of the reasons it possibly has some effectiveness is just the large percentage of people who have no idea how government works, right? Because on the one hand, yes, you're right.
She's the vice president of the United States, but I think it's one thing that Kamala said when she was debating was that basically you spent the last 3 years basically cleaning up the shit that you left behind.
Yes, but it is also just the general like, hey, our system of government is set up with checks and balances.
Right.
The executive can't just do whatever the hell they want. You have to have Until they get rid of the filibuster, you have to have a super majority in the Senate. You also have to have a majority in the House. They haven't had that. The bottom line is,
why should she execute any of this? Listen, Mr.
Because Republicans stop it.
Listen, the concepts, Mr. Concepts of a Plan Man, also, which is another great line by this bozo,
right,
who goes and talks about how still to this day wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act, went and tried, failed, and right now when they ask him, well, what's your fucking plan? Well, I have the concepts of a plan. I'm like, fuck you. I mean, you never had a plan. You haven't had a plan, and now you're just blustering another fucking plan. Yeah, listen.
Well, and that's another one where
incompetent. 8 years later, he still doesn't have a fucking plan. Infrastructure week, Sam.
Well, and on the healthcare one specifically, that's one where they did try, right? Like,
yeah,
they could not come up with an alternative plan. The best they came up with was just getting rid of it. Repeal, and we will figure it out later. We don't have a plan for the replace, but let's at least
just repeal it.
And that was stopped by John McCain. That's it. Otherwise, they would have done that without a replacement, because they could not agree on a replacement, because fundamentally they don't actually believe in a replacement. They don't believe government should be involved in that at all.
Right.
And that's the problem. And that's why you get people holding up signs of like, keep your government hands off my Medicare, and stuff like that.
Why don't we start by, repealing Medicare? Oh, wait, keep your government. I'm just fucking,
Anyway,
look, but can I make since you mentioned John McCain, can I make a specific mention? Because we had this week, like, Dick Cheney saying that he's going to vote for Harris, as well. And a lot of people were like, well, fuck him anyway. Look, I'm not going to say that, because what I will say is that he's the same as Trump. No, I'm sorry, they're not. There's a difference between, I think that W and Cheney, as misguided and as wrong in how they were trying to do things, I think they thought in their head that was what was in the best interest of the country. I think that for the most part, they weren't doing it for themselves.
Right.
Whereas Trump is somebody that's just doing everything for himself. And that's the difference between, like, McCain, Romney, Cheney, and W. That as much as I disagree with what they want to do, I think that they believe that they're doing it for the better of the country, even if what they're doing is completely wrong. And I think that brings a different mentality how you approach things. And that's the reason why I think Cheney went and just flat out said, look, I don't give a shit. I don't agree with anything that she's doing, but I know that this other guy is just doing everything for himself, and this other person has interest in protecting the republic. Period. That's it. Anything else above that, we can disagree on.
Yeah. So Harris has been saying in her speeches lately that the list of former Republican administration officials going back is up in the 200 something range at this point who have endorsed her publicly.
Even Alberto Gonzalez, for God's sakes, just endorsed Kamala for God's sakes. Holy shit. I was like, what the fuck? Really?
And this is just the ones who will explicitly say they will vote for her.
Right.
There are others who will say they won't vote for Trump, but are doing like some write-in crap or whatever. Like Pence has said he's not going to vote for Donald Trump, but he's going to write in his wife. I think Romney's said the same kind of thing. W famously is not saying anything. He put out a statement saying he's not going to.
But what I will say is that W has been consistent. He hasn't wanted to talk about one damn thing about politics ever since he left office. And you know what? He has stuck to it, and he's stuck to it now. And I'm like, I'm not going to give him shit about it because he's been consistent on it. He's just, you know what? Not my place.
Nah, I don't know. I feel like I can still give a little shit. But whatever.
Well, you can give a little. You can give him a little shit, but I also understand where he's coming from as well. He just
He wants to do his paintings and be left alone.
Well, he's also, to give him credit, he's been also trying to help a lot of wounded warriors, like nonstop. That's part of the stuff that he's doing with the paintings. So I don't know if that's just guilt in him or something or whatever, but I
think that's part of it. But
I think it is a big part of it. But hey, look, I disagree with, but the whole thing, I go back to what I said about Cheney. You know what? He was wrong. He did a whole bunch of shit that hurt the country, but at the same time, I don't think that was his intention. Unfortunately, but he really fucked up.
Right. Okay, so enough about the debate itself. Let's hit some of the sidelines. We mentioned the dogs and cats, but I want to get into it a little bit further because on the one hand, it's been like everybody's making fun of him over the dogs and cats. And it's funny and it's a joke and they're memes. Like I played the audio of that song, but there are like thousands of videos on TikTok of people dancing to it, people showing their without the music, showing their dog or cat's reaction to hearing Donald Trump say that. There's all kinds of really funny memes and it's like a joke and people are clearly making fun of him. But at the same time, people have pointed out, like, this is very intentionally just trying to rile up people's fear of immigrants by hitting people have likened this to the blood libel against Jews. It's basically just saying,
it's similar lines. Yeah.
It's these folks. You should be scared of them because they're after your children, they're after your kids, they're whatever, they're evil, they're alien, blah, 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 blah. Now, and that even by making fun of it, you are putting the thought out there in front of people. And there have been in Springfield, Ohio, where this was, there have been bomb threats happening. They've had to close schools. There's been threatened violence against the Haitian community there. And that, this is, you have to be really careful about this because you could unintentionally amplify what they're doing. And I've heard someone say that they have continued to double down on this after the debate. And it is specifically because the Trump campaign feels, when we'll argue in a second about whether this is right or not, but the Trump campaign feels that it doesn't matter if it's true. B, it doesn't matter if people are making fun of it, because in the end, it means everybody's talking about immigration. Even when people are refuting it and saying there are no immigrants out there eating dogs or cats, it is still pushing the issue and getting it into forefront, and it's like an issue they feel like they're strong on, and it'll help them. That's what.
Bullshit. Look, I think the reason why I think that argument is bullshit is because when you want to make these arguments, like when Steve Bannon is talking about flooding it, you want to make it that it's somewhat credible and people take it seriously and discuss it seriously. When you make it so preposterous that people are just ridiculing it nonstop, okay, it has the opposite effect. All it does is it riles up, the 26% of people that said it's true. But the reality is that you're not doing what you were trying to do. When you say these things, they need to sound credible and not, that the primary reaction is laughter. You need to do it that it's subtle. You need to say, well, they've been going in there because J.D. Vance was saying this before about Springfield. Well, there's surges in crimes and HIV and all of this other stuff and whatever stuff that, sounds like he's informed and he pulled up the information. But when you look at all the data, it's all complete horseshit. But it sounds credible. When you take it to the extreme of saying something that is just preposterous, it makes it that it bounces back. Now, the reason why they're doing this thing with the bomb threats and whatever, I think is more related to the fact that, when he got fact checked on it, that it cited public officials that said that it's bullshit. And I think that's why they're retaliating against those public officials in schools. But I really don't think it has anything to do with the people making fun of it afterwards. It has to do with the fact that all these MAGA idiots, every time that they latch onto something like this, and they hear that public officials did this. It's like the same thing with the lie about the elections, why they've been threatening election officials left and right, and why, for example, over here, my wife was telling me Palm Beach County is struggling really hard to recruit people to volunteer for not volunteer because it's a paid job to work the damn election this cycle. Okay, they are struggling really bad. And so because they have heard about all these threats and all this shit, and that's why people are afraid to do it. And so I think that's what it's got. You know, the making fun of it has nothing to do with it. It has to do with what he said, how he doubled down on it, and how all of a sudden all of MAGA is offended that they got fact checked on it by public officials, which they want to go back after.
So let me hold on.
Don't choke on me, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me hit a little bit about the nugget of truth, that has been distorted to cause all this. So apparently, and it took a couple days for people to sort of suss this stuff out, there was an incident in Ohio, like 150 miles away from Springfield. So not even in the town. There was one single incident where a mentally ill woman did attack a cat and did did at least bite the cat. I'm not sure if they ate the whole cat, but they did bite a cat. There's video of it as police were responding to try to get this woman under control. So she did like do something bad to this cat. There are pictures of her with like fur on her mouth or whatever, you know, and the cat was at least injured, if not killed. I forget that level of detail. It was 150 or so miles away from Springfield. She was an American citizen, so she was not Haitian at all.
Listen, Sam, come on, nugget of truth. That goes even beyond the truth. Do you know how many incidents of animal cruelty happen in the United States?
Every day.
Every fucking day. You might as well just fucking look through a list of animal cruelty incidents and just randomly pick one to do the story.
Let me continue.
Come on.
Let me continue. The other thing is there has been a significant wave of Haitian immigrants into Springfield, Ohio. Now, here's the thing. They were invited in. Like this was part of the temporary protective status for Haitian refugees. There's a refugee resettlement program. Springfield, Ohio had been struggling because of loss of population and people, businesses shutting down, leaving, all this
shortage
kind of
of labor.
So Springfield raised their hand and said, "Can we have some people, please?"
Right.
And they welcomed them with open arms. They are legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. They are fully.
Yeah, they have TPS.
They've got all their papers in order. They are working legally. I've heard interviews with people at various companies in town saying, "I love the Haitian immigrants. Dude, they are good workers,
hardest fucking working people." Look, I got, my son's like therapists. Like many of them have been of Haitian descent. Had an employee that worked in the community over here, who's our maintenance employee, also Haitian descent. I don't know, so many people. Look, they're wonderful, hard-working people. And by the way, in Haiti, they don't eat pet cats and dogs.
Yeah,
it's not a thing. And one of our listeners, by the way, Richard, who is one of our listeners. He's a doctor, lives in Columbus, Ohio. He's also Haitian. Okay, by the way. And so I know he said that this week he had COVID, so I hope he's feeling better. And I know he does listen to the podcast. I haven't heard him specifically address this and how fucking like pissed off he must be about this whole fucking thing because he does live in the state of Ohio. But it's just the most preposterous fucking bullshit fucking story ever, man. Well, in my experience of, listen, it's not just the Haitian immigrants. Every fucking immigrant group that we get like right now are some of the hardest fucking working people
Well,
you will ever meet in
this-
your damn life.
This is one of the things that we've mentioned when talking about immigration in the past. Like, if you are a person who is willing to rip up your entire life and move halfway around the world,
Yeah,
you are an extremely motivated person
absolutely.
that is willing to make sacrifices and put in work and blah blah blah. These are exactly the kind of people you want. And the employers who I heard interviewed were exactly along those lines. They're good workers. They come on time. They're good family people. They do this. And the one guy I heard was like, I wish my American employees were like
Work
this.
that hard.
And I would love to have, a lot more of these guys. They're great. And but
the whole other thing that this asshole JD Vance said, well, because the shooting up crimes and diseases and everything,
It's not true.
is no fucking single stat that says that that's true. It's what it's this whole flood the shit thing. He is just completely grossly lying about every damn thing about it. Everything. The crime, the things, the dog, everything is a fucking just racist trope.
Well, and the one thing that is happening is, especially now that they've been working this up, it is increasing tensions. I've heard interviews with Haitian people in that town who are afraid to send their kids to school, even if they weren't closed because of the bomb threats, because they're getting harassed on the street now. There are people who are, those same people who are going to work and being appreciated at work are now getting asked by their coworkers, are you eating cats and dogs? What's going on? And so like those tensions are being like fanned by this in a place where it wasn't so much of a thing, but now it kind of is because they're doing this stuff. And it's because the whole thing is about fear and generating that fear and getting people riled up. I tend to think you are right in that when it transitions to outright mockery, this is backfiring on them.
Yes, 100%.
I think their idea absolutely was just get people scared of immigrants.
Yeah.
And the truth, the specific instance doesn't matter. We're just going to do all kinds of scary things. Like apparently what Trump was supposed to do about immigration is they'd coached him on a whole list of names of like women who had been sexually assaulted by immigrants, by illegal immigrants specifically. And he was supposed to rattle off the names and say, why don't you care about this person and this person and this person? But he fucked it up. He couldn't even do that. And instead was talking about cats and dogs. But the thing is, even that...
And other pets, by the way.
Yes, and other pets.
Yeah, because he said they're eating the dogs.
Oh, and
the cats
geese.
are eating the pets.
The geese. Yeah, they're stealing the geese from the ponds and eating them as well. But here's the... Even if he had said...
first of all, people don't keep geese as pets. It's not common. Okay, I'm sure.
Well, no, he was just talking about the geese at the parks and stuff like that.
Well, okay, but I mean, people cook geese, right? It's a bird. Right?
It is it's not a usual...
It's not a chicken, but it's... I mean, I'm sure that...
Like geese have been eaten in the past. But it is not considered a thing to do to go to your local park, grab a goose, kill it, and take it home and eat it. I mean, unless you're RFK Jr.
Well, yes, if you're RFK Jr., then that's basically how you make dinner.
Right. But, and look, even the thing, if he had brought up the women and blah, 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 that's another complete bullshit thing because you can always pull anecdotes of anything because any population has bad folks. But
all of them.
But
every
when
single one.
Yeah. And even the things we were saying before, it's also somewhat like, wrong to say, oh, well, these people are all good workers. No, they're not all good workers. That just like any population, there's good and bad and whatever. So we don't want to like stereotype on the good side either. But no, the thing is, yeah, you can always find those anecdotes, but the actual rates of crime are down.
But wait, to be fair, statistics
and rates of crime,
immigrants,
have a lower
way lower rates of
yes,
crimes.
way
lower.
Yeah, you can always find the bad example, but as a whole, an immigrant is less likely to commit a violent act than an American.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough about cats and dogs and the stuff related to it. I don't want to let this go without talking about Laura Loomer as well. And part of what was said about the cats and dogs is this is because of her whispering in Trump's ear. Now, I don't entirely buy that excuse because JD Vance has been pushing this for the last week as well.
Had he been pushing the cats and dogs pets thing with the previous? Okay,
he had been.
Okay,
but apparently, like a lot of the people in Trump's circles are complaining that Laura Loomer has had too much access to Donald Trump and has been filling his head with nonsense, racist conspiracies, etc., etc.
I thought there were other holes being filled, but that was my thought. I mean, there is a hole in his head as well, but yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, so there seem to be two levels of complaints. There's the first level of complaint is simply like, hey, she's a nut job extremist. She has too much interaction with Donald Trump and influence.
But I saw MTG complain about that specifically, and I'm like, you're the Jewish space laser woman.
Yes.
What the fuck are you talking about?
When MTG is calling you out for being too racist.
I mean, exactly. What fucking, level of hell have we descended to?
Yes. Anyway, but of course, the second level that started percolating almost instantly after that is people with various levels of being explicit about it, implying that Donald is actually having an affair with her.
Okay.
Let
me just say this from having experience with meeting many people that have had affairs over their life. Every fucking signal that he is sending is flashing red. I mean, if you look at the checklist of things that make you flash red, is there an affair going on? This dashboard is at full red alert.
So you want to list some of those signs?
Well, look, for example, the fact that all of a sudden he has been completely like at his side, that he has been grabbing her, that he's been very touchy-feely with her in like ways that in public that usually you don't do that with somebody who's just a coworker or something or whatnot or whatever.
He saves that for his daughter.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's another person. Sending her kisses, talking about her lavishly and ravishingly around her. The fact that Melania is nowhere to be seen.
Well, to be fair, she hasn't been anywhere to be seen for years.
Yeah. But listen, I do listen. Not even the debate, Sam. Look, I do think that she obviously is gotten wind that he is doing shit on the side. And this is the kind of shit that normally spouses, when they are disgruntled and this guy is stupping somebody else, they will go and say, whatever. And since she knows that she needs some kind of payoff to get the fuck out of this marriage, what she's doing is right now, she's not going to file for a divorce right now before this. But you know what? She is just basically ghosting him right now.
Well, to be clear as well, I mean, that's not like new for Donald Trump. I mean, we had this whole damn trial related to Stormy Daniels.
And of course, it's like that his history is that he's done this many times before. So fucking thing, to everybody in the circle that's been around, it's a fucking woman.
He's cheated on every wife he's ever had. He's cheated on every girlfriend he's ever had. So it's not an unusual pattern, so it would not be surprising in any way. But here's the thing. I've seen like
now is it listen, is it ironclad that he's banging her? No. But is the preponderance of the evidence leaning towards the fact that he's doing so? Yes.
So here's the thing, like the levels of this at the moment, like this sort of, I hadn't heard very much about this before the debate. After the debate, the first thing I started hearing are a whole bunch of finger pointing about it was Laura Loomer's fault that he did badly at the debate.
Right.
And at first it was all just about because of the things she put in his head. Okay. But then
By the way,
I started hearing the implications of there was something else going on. Drudge, who like I haven't thought about Matt Drudge in years, but like apparently the front of the Drudge report had some stuff about Loomer and a heavy implication without outright saying it, but clearly implying that something was going on there and talking about MTG being jealous.
No, but wait, they're not talking about MTG jealous. Look at her tweets. They were full of raging jealousy.
Well, you could interpret them as just being mad that he was screwing up because of her.
No.
Or you could interpret it as jealousy over the influence, not jealousy over an affair.
Look.
Because, of course, Yvonne thinks that MTG also had an affair with him, by the way, as well as several other people. Yeah.
Yes. Well, okay, again, pattern of behavior, preponderance of evidence.
Yeah.
The wife is gone. Okay,
well,
it all adds up. Okay,
and so
that. Now, like I said, none of them are smoking guns. I don't have a fucking video. Okay, but look, there is a clear pattern here.
And what's happening at this point?
He has a predilection for younger women.
Yeah, like
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher on his show is like, she's his type.
Yes.
And this is what I'm saying about percolating through the media environment. Like, you got Drudge, and then you got all kinds of people talking about it on like TikTok and stuff. You have Bill Maher explicitly saying it. On MSNBC and CNN, the closest I've heard are people saying things like, well, she's got a lot of influence on him and has had a lot of exposure, if that's all it is, without saying anything more explicit. Because like if you're at a major news organization, you're not gonna go there unless you've got proof.
Right.
But like all of the people who are at places where they're just like us, we're willing to just spread the rumor. But
listen, have said here. Wait, here's what I've said. I have not said that I have definitive evidence that Laura Loomer is banging Donald. However, what I have said, and I will repeat again, is that the preponderance of everything surrounding Donald and his track record indicates that is highly likely.
So, and here's the thing. Like this is following, whether it's true or not. This, like, I could see it being true. It's very plausible that it's true. I could also see it being as somebody planting this idea and pushing it for their own purposes. Like, honestly, the trajectory
including
of
Laura herself, by the way.
Including Laura herself, but all kinds of people might have incentive to do this. Because honestly, this is following the exact same kind of trajectory through social media as the JD Vance couch thing. Where someone said it.
Well, that was more. Come on, that was.
I
listen,
there have not
in the JD Vance case. It's not like we have some kind of documented track record of him fucking couches.
So far, there are better memes about the couch than there are about Loomer.
Yes.
But like,
that may change soon.
Give it a couple days. That may change. Yeah. And the point of that is the JD Vance thing, like somebody just made that up. And going back to what we were talking about flooding the zone with shit and what can you trust, what can you not trust? Like, there is a possibility that somebody just made this up and decided that we're going to push this agenda now. And we're going to push this story. Now, here's the question about this too, is, well, what's the ultimate, what are you trying to get out of that? Because I've heard people say, look, assume it's true. Assume the story goes out there. MAGA folks will actually just be like, well, shows he's a strong, virile man.
Virile man.
Yeah, he's in his late 70s, and look, he's got this 31-year-old on his arm. It's good for him. Good for him.
Listen, there is nothing, like I said, there is nothing that he can do to this. There is this strong a sector that everything that he does, they will sing the praises of, no matter what.
On the other hand, I could see this is the Stormy Daniels thing all over again. The reason he tried to shut that down was he was afraid it would lose him evangelicals, who like him for other reasons, but were never really happy about his social life. And oh my God, look what he's doing with the porn star. At the same time, if it gets some evangelicals to stay home because they're like, oh, he's cheating on his wife again, I can't support that. Even if most of them do, if a handful, we talked earlier about how close this damn race is. A few votes in a few critical states can make the difference. So, if you can peel off a few...
I couldn't give a fuck if he's fucking the entire fucking campaign staff. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. I'm not saying it because...
Let me say this. Some politicians, if they were caught in something like this, you could at least hang them for being hypocritical and saying, you're so sanctimonious, but then you're doing this. You can't do that for Donald Trump. He's never really hidden the fact that he's a playboy. I mean, yeah, he tried to quiet down the Stormy Daniels such, but during the 80s and 90s,
Karen McDougal,
but during the 80s and 90s, he was calling up the press with that fake identity to brag about his affairs, to try to get them into the paper. So this is not something that Donald Trump has never claimed to be he's never claimed to be anything else other than he is along these lines.
No, the one thing, the only reason I bring it up is, Laura, fuck this, but whatever the fucking name is a fucking racist psycho. Okay, that's one thing. The reason. Oh, yeah. So that's who he's choosing to associate with. And
MTG's comment, MTG saying that her comments were too racist was a direct response to a series of tweets she made with incredibly racist things about Kamala Harris. And again, MTG is calling you out on that. That tells you something about just how racist she is.
It's like I said, you could fuck the whole campaign staff. I don't give a shit about it. I don't care. That's not my thing about it. But the thing is, again, it's like you said, the evangelical support, all this shit. These guys go and prop this guy up as a family man or whatever, that is defender of the family, make America great again and bring back family values. Fucking family values. This son of a bitch will just fuck it. He's claiming that family values is being with his wife and be with a family when he's just, fucks whoever the hell he wants, and then goes out to people and says, and then courts your support. And I'm just like, look, you guys are hypocrites. Either you guys, basically are okay with the fact that, people have their choices in their relationships and whatever. You don't tell anybody how to live their life.
Yeah. I'm actually sure, from the very beginning, he and Melania probably, Melania knew what she was getting into too, but the arrangement probably was keep it quiet.
Right.
And so I can't imagine she's surprised by him having affairs, but she didn't want to get dragged through the mud about it. Right.
Well,
and at this point, there are plenty of reports that she actually hates him. And so she's just looking for the right payday at this point, I'm sure. But
the only thing that I saw Melania do publicly recently was some kind of video infomercial for her schlepping
and she got paid a significant penny for that.
Yeah, some fucking flogging some bullshit whatever thing, to make money. I think she was selling some, I don't know what the fuck. She was some other grift, whatever the fuck grift. Yeah, whatever. What the specifics of the grift? Not important. Some other fucking grift that she.
And the handful of times she actually has showed up to campaign events, she was paid.
Oh, that's right. The payments are on the FEC filings.
Yes.
This is so fucked up. here's the, and I will say, here is the contrast, right? What I understand is that Doug Emhoff, when he got a divorce, I think that, the one reason he was having an affair. And
he had an affair with like their nanny.
Yeah. And he wound up getting a divorce. But, at some point in their relationship, and this is, record, history has showed this, that they got past that. They get along well. They're, they take care of their kids. He got divorced, and there is something that there is a certain level of,
they are still friends. The ex-wife is doing campaign events for Kamala Harris.
Right.
As I understand, they are friends too. That the current wife and the ex-wife, they consider themselves to have a co-parenting relationship with all the kids, and they get along well.
And that shows the respect that there is amongst those people. That even though, he did something that his wife, I'm sure, felt betrayed by. That somehow they got past that, and that they have a decent sense of respect amongst them to get along, and that's fine. I mean, people know
they talk about their blended family, and that whatever. Excuse me.
And that's the thing. I mean, and that's just my contrast with this fucking clown, who I go and I see. I mean, my God, there was no more fucking I'm gonna say stomach wrenching moment for me, seeing his entire family, like the one that attended the all his family members that attended the fucking RNC, and he passed by, and it was basically a whole bunch of strangers just filed past him.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's the level of love and care that there is here. Basically zero. You're all just useful props for me here. The ones that showed up, because a few of them didn't even show up. Not his wife, not his daughter, Ivanka. She was like, "Get me the fuck out! I'm done. I don't want this shit anymore." I can't blame her. I mean, I would be done with it.
So, sorry. Hold on,
Flemmy.
So one person on TikTok was like, I wonder if the October surprise is going to be Laura Loomer announcing she's pregnant with Trump's baby.
Well, that would be talk about an October surprise. Holy fucking hell.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of doubt that. But if it did happen,
doubt it. Why not? Look at Edwards, for God's sakes. Now he fucking
no. The bigger thing, the bigger October surprise would be if she aborts that baby.
Shit. Now that would be an October surprise.
Anyway, yeah, I kind of feel like chances are this Loomer thing will sort of blow over in the next few days, but you never know.
I actually disagree. I think that this thing's going to snowball because, oh my God, she's not backing down. She's been taking it up notches. I mean, she went fuck. She called Lindsey Graham flat out, said he's gay.
Well, what it was, Lindsey Graham came out with a big denunciation of what she was saying and blah, blah, blah. And she said,
we all know that you're the closet gay, something like that.
Sorry. Still got that thing in my throat. Hold on. No, her statement was something along the lines of, get over it, Lindsay. We all know you're gay.
Right. Fuck.
I
mean, I don't see it. Listen, her track record is not one of backing down. So the thing is, you think that blow over my ass. She's a shitstormer. And she's gotten in there right now and has gotten attention. What she is going to do is stir the shit pot even more. I'm telling you that right now. No fucking way she's blowing over and just going and hiding. No way. I mean, if she did it, it'd be a first.
I guess my question is whether the real media, not TikTok and such, has the appetite to actually go after a story about Trump and Loomer in
the thing
a way.
is, you've
but
gotta,
on the other hand, they don't really matter anymore. Like the TikTok matters
what the fuck
more.
Does that matter? Right. Yeah. So what if the New York Times does an expose on Laura Loomer, and anybody gonna give a shit about that?
No, you're right. It's the mocking on social media that will do it. And but again, I don't even know. Like, would there be any effect whatsoever on the election? I don't know, because there's some people who, like we said, maybe he loses some evangelicals.
But here's the problem. No.
But
Sam, but here's the one thing that she's doing. Okay, which is a problem. Look, she's having them, like, as happens with so many of these, right-wing groups. They're turning on each other at the wrong moment.
Yes,
they're not unifying. They're turning on each other.
Well, and this was starting anyway, just because Trump was not doing as well against Harris as he was against Biden, where there was infighting going on. This is accelerating, and I think you're right that may be an effect if the campaign itself and the people immediately surrounding Trump start tearing each other apart and start, like, in advance doing retribution for the loss that they think might be coming.
Right.
I mean, and honestly, they still have a good shot of winning. But
by the way,
like,
but
if they start,
even Trump thinks he's losing. Didn't you hear that he went on a rally?
The future vice president.
Yes.
He called Walz the future vice president.
They were like, what?
Yes. And yeah, and so we've got another number of things. The thing is, time is running out. As we were recording, 52 days left. Okay,
2 days.
And so we've got a number of things. We've got this potential, like his campaign spinning out of control and infighting, blah blah blah. We've got the continued evidence of Trump, like, not being with it. You mentioned calling Walz the future vice president. He's also been messing up almost on a daily basis,
state
understanding where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like, he was in California and thought he was in Hawaii. He was in
Arizona, said in Pennsylvania or North Carolina. I don't know. He was all over the fucking place.
And look, I understand if you're traveling all over the place, I might get confused too. But this is one of the things that if you're running for president, you make damn sure you get right. Like, I've seen videos of people doing concert tours that got the city wrong and stuff.
Oh
like
God,
that.
yeah. So that happens. Yeah, well, that happens all the time. Yeah.
But you get this right. But and then just the unintelligible string of conversation, stuff like that, and I mean, even the dogs and cats thing is an example of that.
Right.
Where he's not getting the information right. He's off topic. He's not really doing what he intended to do. And there were multiple examples of that during the debate where she baited him into the topic, and then he got into it, and then he got sort of lost and rambly in it. And so all of this is going on. Like, there's a lot of this that, I mean, for all the stuff that people hounded Biden out of the race for, Trump's just as fucking bad, and in some ways worse.
In many ways worse.
Look,
at
this point,
listen, I'm going to say this again. Biden was a stutterer, so he did struggle with, like, speaking for his entire life. So him fucking up things was always something that happened. It's just that his fucking up of things, has combined with him sounding older, because he is old. That's it.
I saw a couple of clips of him from the last week, and they were still entirely variable, right? Like, there were some where he was okay. There were some where it was like, something's wrong with him right now. So, like, I think that with the pressure of the campaign off, he's relaxed a little bit, so he's not, like, trying super hard to look, like, vigorous every appearance.
Well, look, he did make that one very funny appearance where
with the hat.
That was hilarious, and he did that. The guy asked him, and he's like, okay, fine, you're gonna fucking put the hat on, and then he told everybody, hey, just no eating cats and dogs.
Yeah, but I've seen others where he's sort of standing there, not looking great. But
I mean, he's Sam.
I know.
I'm gonna fucking remember this when you turn 82.
Oh, I
I'm
look
gonna say-
confused all the time right now.
Exactly. I'm gonna see how the fuck you're standing over there, whatever, looking like all fucking Peachy King. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
No, I know. All I'm saying is that I'm glad things turned out how they are at this point. Like,
look, you know,
I was
what?
against. I was
glad.
against.
I am glad. I am glad that Biden can get a rest. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Because you know what? The job that he did the last 4 years, running a fucking election, running again, is fucking hard. And you know what? Right now, everybody, all of us, that you know, we need to bring this home for this guy.
Yeah, I was you know, bringing up the history. I was against the people trying to push him out.
So was I.
But and specifically because they were. I felt like he was behind, but it was possible it would just be a hard slog. But also, they were also very much like, we don't want Harris either. This open convention stuff. I thought the open convention thing would have been an absolute disaster. But the way Biden actually pulled it off by immediately pushing Harris and essentially cutting off any other alternatives off at the knees was perfect. And I think this was the best possible way it could have gone. Obviously, it's still a neck and neck race. Harris is not like yet pulling way ahead or anything like that. I would love it if she did, but I think we're better off than we would have been with Biden at the same point. Whether or not he could, I think in the end, the dynamic would be all of those people who were like, I can't vote for Biden because he's old. Most of them, in the end, when we got to October, would have been
they would have been like, yeah, they probably would have, but in the end, you know,
they would have come home.
Yeah, but in the end, you know, I this is the best other possible alternative outcome. I mean, we said it before that if Biden drops, the only real
had to be Harris.
It had to be Harris. It had to be Harris. There's no other fucking realistic option. And so you know, this is where we are with 50 fucking days to this damn thing, and I'm just
52.1 as of this moment.
I swear to God, you know, as many I have seen publicly express, I want to be able to get to this election win, and hopefully, fucking not have to talk again about fucking Donald J. Trump.
I will predict right now, even if he loses, we will still be talking about Donald Trump for a long time.
But it's going to be from a different perspective. Yes. I don't think that. He lost once. He's trying again. I don't think he can lose twice and fucking go and try for a third. No way. I mean, I think that at that point, that just collapses. You can't lose twice and then. I mean, now I know that he has the Republican. Listen, the Republican Party right now is Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
Everything else has been eviscerated. It's pure MAGA. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Anyway,
all right.
This is it.
Puppy up. Yep.
We're done. Wrap the puppy up, but don't eat it.
Don't eat it, please.
Don't eat the puppy.
No, don't eat the puppy. No eating of the puppies.
Right.
We are on this program. We are against puppy eating and cats or other pets.
Or other pets. Yeah. Don't eat the pets.
Don't eat the pets.
Okay. With that, we are done. Curmudgeons-corner.com. You can find all the ways to contact us. You can find our link to the YouTube version of these shows. You can find our Patreon, so you can give us money.
Millions, billions, trillions.
Go for the trillions.
Yeah, sure.
Might as well.
Yeah.
And on the Patreon at various levels of monthly contribution, we'll mention you on the show. We'll ring a bell. We'll send you a postcard. We'll send you a mug. Ivan is confused, looking for his bell. There we go. There's a bell. And importantly, at $2 a month, or if you just ask us,
even not nicely.
Oh, that reminds me. But
feedback. Didn't we have feedback?
Yeah, that's what I just reminded. But like anyway, the what was I going to say? Oh, at any of those levels, we will invite you to the Curmudgeon's Course Slack where we blah, 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 blah. I will talk, but in the meantime, I did want to mention, we did have a comment on one of our recent YouTube videos. It was like 2 shows ago, something like that.
Yeah.
The one where Yvonne was sick.
Oh, yes.
And this was from Sean. I'll just say that, from Sean. And they just said, I assure you, I am not a bot. Longtime listener. So,
all right. Way to go, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Sean not only commented on our Curmudgeon's Corner YouTube channel, he also subscribed. We now have 3 subscribers to the YouTube channel. Well,
am I subscribed?
No, you are not. I was going to say, of the 3, I am number 1. Number 2 is also longtime listener John.
Okay.
Yeah, John, who's actually been on the show before and who I used to work with at Merrill Lynch a long time ago, and then Sean, and yeah, so 3 subscribers. Yeah, so and it looks like each of
and we are now at 4.
Oh, congrats! Oh, I just yelled into the mic. And it looks like, each of our episodes is getting, I don't know, 2 to 5 views, like on the YouTube.
Hey,
so probably not the whole show, but
hey, that's how we started on the podcast.
Yeah, so that's fine. And anyway, and then of course the YouTube, for anybody who's curious. First of all, it has video of Yvonne and I, not just the audio. Second of all, it's completely unedited. So like in the edited version of this, there are a few times where I was coughing or clearing my throat. You might not get that in the audio version, but if you want to hear Sam coughing and clearing his throat, you can watch the YouTube version.
Wow.
It also,
wow.
I'll also, the audio version also cuts out like, what do you call them? I can't use the terms because they'll be cut out. The little noises that you make when you're talking, and fillers where you use certain sounds that you repeat when you're not quite sure what you say next. It cuts those out, and it cuts out long silences. So the audio version is different. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got. So I mentioned the Curmudgeon's Course Slack that you can get invited to. So Yvonne, how about something from the Curmudgeon's Course Slack that we have not talked about today?
Well, I found, and I shared this on the Slack, just the headline and the lead of a New York Times opinion piece from December 8th, 1903. It said, "Man won't fly for 1,000,000 years."
Yes.
To build a flying machine would require the combined and continuous efforts of mathematicians and mechanics for 1 million to 10 million years. So that's how, I'm thinking about some things in terms of progress and where the hell we are with that now. I'm wondering.
Well, so here's the.
I don't know.
Here's the more specific thing. That comment in the New York Times came out in response to the latest in a long string of failures for people to make an airplane that worked. 3 days later was the successful Orville and Wilbur Wright flight. 3 days after that editorial.
Nice.
They also, the New York Times also published a similar editorial about how going to the moon was impossible, and not that long after it happened. Obviously, a few decades after the one you did. And speaking of space stuff, I do want to mention one other thing in passing. The SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission is currently in space. This has gone out further than any manned flight since Apollo. It's like 1,400 kilometers, I think. So higher than the normal low Earth orbit. It is a tourist.
It is a high low Earth orbit still. Yeah. So
well, it's a
it's
medium,
under. Yeah, it's not like geosynchronous. Like
no.
It's relatively low.
But it's
under 1,000
significantly higher. Like it's significantly.
No, it's at the high end of what is considered like low Earth orbit. Yeah.
Anyway, it's considerably higher than what the normal orbits, than the ISS and all that kind of stuff.
Or all of those. Yeah, there are 200-300 miles.
Considerably higher up. And it's a commercial flight, so all of the passengers are paid passengers. They're all like billionaires who wanted to go up on a ride. And it's the first such flight with a spacewalk. So one of the billionaires put on a little spacesuit and got to walk outside the space capsule for like half an hour or something. So there you go.
Hi.
And so we talked about Boeing not being able to get their folks back. At the same time, SpaceX is doing this. So, I presume you've bought your tickets, Yvonne.
Yeah, they're ready. I'm waiting for you to come over so we can hitch the ride.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I think we're done. Are we done, Yvonne? Are we done? Done.
Very much so.
Did I say done enough?
Yes.
Done. There we go.
Yeah.
Now. Okay. Everybody stay safe. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, here comes the stop button.